Hi guys, my name is Hugo Mandujano. I'm the Dallas ambassador of My Life, My Power. I'm here to tell you guys a story about my life and how I've changed over the past year and a half. Well, one day, one of my friends, he introduced me to smoking marijuana, and we skipped lunch one day, went behind EB Comstock, and we lit up a joint. That was the first time I ever got high. It was an experience I'm never gonna forget. That actually really started it all. From that day forward, I was getting high every day, coming home late. I wasn't calling my parents, telling them where I was. I was just hanging out with my friends, just trying to get high and enjoy the moment.
I'm Hugo Mandujano. I'm Hugo's father. Well, a couple of years ago, he wouldn't listen to anything I would tell him. He would show up late to school. He would get home late. He wouldn't call. I wouldn't know from him till real late that day. Our relationship before he enrolled on My Life, My Power was, we didn't have very much communication. It was a bad relationship. I wouldn't even call it a relationship.
Well, when I first started high school, I was really going down a real negative path. I was hanging out with friends all day and night, smoking dope from early from the morning to the night. I wouldn't call my parents and tell them where I was. I would just pop up in the middle of the night at my house and knock on the door and expect them to let me in. After a while, my mom and dad, they started getting tired of it. And after a while, they wouldn't even open the door no more. They would just let me sleep out all night until the next morning, until my brother went to school, and I would sneak into the house, get dressed, and go to school and take a shower.
I would say that he was really easily influenced by friends which were, if not as lost as he was, worse. But he was easily influenced by other friends.
Then after a while, I started getting kicked out of school. Like every other year, I kept getting kicked out of school every other year. And my parents, they started getting frustrated. And after a while, they didn't even really want to talk to me that much. Oh, I got in trouble at school? Oh, that's nothing new. And after a while, I got kicked out of my last school.
Our worst point was he would lie, just like naturally. It would just come out. I would ask him something and I knew he was lying. Like the worst part was when I went to high school. He supposedly was supposed to be there. I went and talked to the principal. He said he didn't show up. So I waited for him to come home. It was like 3. I asked him where he was. He said he was at school, which I knew he wasn't. And that day I kicked him out. That's the worst I can remember.
You know, Hugo's case is like the case of a lot of students that, that is a kid I love to work with. Those are the kids I absolutely desire to work with. That's the kid that, I wake up every single morning, looking for a kid like Hugo. Because, Hugo needs somebody to be on his side. I realize, his dad is with him, but he needs somebody within a school system, within, a different arena that's gonna support him, that's gonna help him. And actually, when I see kids like Hugo, I see myself. I struggled when I was in high school. I wasn't the smartest kid in the class. I don't think I was the dumbest kid in the class either, but I just needed some energy from somebody else. And so I tried to give kids like Hugo that energy. I want to be that energy for them, I struggled when I was in high school. I got in trouble when I was in high school, but I had people that were there for me in high school that provided me an escape, a means to get out of whatever it is I was involved in, whether it was a fight, whether it was in, doing something wrong, whether not being able to pass a class. I had individuals, at my, in my area that was there to help me. So that's what I want to be for Hugo, and that's why I love the work that I do.
I kind of dropped out of school for a couple of months. I wasn't going. And after a while, I started noticing that this isn't the life I wanted to take. This isn't what I wanted to be. So I called up my dad one day, and I told him if he could go enroll me into Spruce. So we went up there to the office. I was talking to my principal at the time, Mr. Sanchez, and I asked him politely if he could let me in. But at the time, though, my politely wasn't what he thought politely was. I came into his office, shirt untucked, my pants sagging, my hair a mess, and it was just out of control.
When Hugo came into my office, it is probably the 10th time, at least the 10th time that I've had to have a conversation with him. This time he comes in with his dad. So Hugo comes into my office and wants an opportunity to come back to school. again, and this isn't the first time he's wanted to come back to school. This had to be the 4th to the 5th time. And it was a very difficult situation for me because as a building principal, my job is to graduate kids, to enroll kids, make sure that they're here, make sure they're going to class, make sure they're getting their credits, and make sure that they graduate. Hugo's case was a very unique and a difficult one because Hugo did not have enough credits to be able to graduate, nor did I have enough time to graduate him because the amount of time he had been in high school, the number of credits that he had, the state testing that he hadn't passed yet, I had to factor all those things into what I was trying to do to help Hugo and his dad because, his dad loves him, his dad wants the best for him, so he comes with him every single time. And this time it was a little bit different because it was almost like Dad was saying, please, this is one last time, give him one more chance, please give me one more chance. And as a father and as a parent myself, I could understand that. I felt his passion. I could feel his saying, please help my child because my child one day is going to make it and we just need people along the road to help him make it. And so it was difficult. He had half the credits he needed and he only had one more year to be able to do it. So that was a difficult situation.
He was in the office with Daniel Puder, founder of My Life, My Power. That's when I first got introduced to it.
So Hugo comes into my office, and Hugo, knowing how many times he's been to my office and how often I've had to talk to Hugo about his sagging pants. Because one of the things I want kids to understand, I want kids to be able to appreciate is the fact that, people will first look at your outward appearance and give you respect according to what they see. And so Hugo comes into my office knowing, not even in my office, but into my school, knowing he's not supposed to be sagging. So I have it's customary for me that when kids are sagging, I pull out my zip ties and I pull their pants up and I zip tie their pants. And I always have to tell kids, you got to look at people who are, successful in life, they wear their pants up around their waist.
Well, I guess they're in the office conversating about me, and Daniel said if I was to go through his program, that Mr. Sanchez would allow me back into Spruce. So the first thing that popped in my mind, yeah, I'm gonna do this program, I'm gonna get it done with, I'm gonna come back to school, and I'm just gonna hang out with my friends again. But little did I know that it was an experience that was gonna change my life.
I was so desperate. I was thinking, well, we don't have nothing to lose. And I'm sure it will be helpful, better than doing anything. Our relationship now, since he joined My Life, My Power program, has changed tremendously. It's different. I can describe it by, now we can actually talk, start a conversation, which we'd never had before. We'll laugh about things. It's different, in a good way. I think the best reason for them to join a program like this is for them to have a motivation about what they want to do, what's the importance in life, what they really want to do. Because like Hugo, he was, I keep saying this, he was lost. And finally it seems like he's doing something for himself. He's starting to think a different way. He's just different. He's changing big time.
After I went through the program, I started realizing that my life was going to a direction that I didn't want it to. I was doing things kids my age shouldn't have been doing, and they shouldn't have been experiencing at that age. I was sleeping under bridges. I was kicked out of my parents' house, doing dope all day, all night. My mind was just altered. I didn't know where I was going. And then one day I stared in the mirror for a long time. I was talking to myself, who are you? Who is this person in front of you? What happened to the old Hugo? This is something you would never do. And then it really clicked and it hit me. And I put down the pipe, went outside and I smashed it on the floor. And I said, from this day forward, I'm never gonna do this again. I'm gonna change my life. I wanna be able to change somebody else's life and show them that I want to be able to change somebody's life and show them that this is not the kind of life that they want to live. Being out on the street all night, being cold, no food for weeks, nowhere to sleep for days. My life is now a success story because of My Life, My Power. Thank you, My Life, My Power. You have changed my life.